The Educator Effectiveness Committee is now called to order. Can we get a roll call vote?
Yes, sir. Dr. Bofi, present. Mr. Davis,
Present.
Ms. Edmondson, not in attendance. Mr. Garvey, not in attendance. Ms. Holloway,
Present.
Dr. Jones,
Please, ma'am.
is here. Ms. Lewis, not in attendance. Ms. Orange Jones, not in attendance. Mr. Rock,
Present.
Dr. Thomason,
Present.
Ms. Boucher, here. Ms. Eckert, present. You have the floor.
Sound like we have a quorum. Okay. I call for first item.
If we could have the microphone pointed down, I think it helps to prevent too much feedback. Your consent agenda is ready for approval. Pulling item 2.1 and adding item 3.1.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Bofi, second by Mr. Rock. Any discussion? Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item.
Your next item is on page 1, item 2.1, consideration of a report regarding teacher certification appeals. The department recommendation is to receive.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Ms. O'Shea, second by Dr. Bofi. Any discussion? We have one public comment card by Mr. Lee Boreals. Miss Lee Boreals, I keep getting that wrong. I'm sorry about that. I'm on have time.
Lee Barrios, retired teacher for St. Tammany. TSAC is part of a very important process through which prospective educators who are working hard to achieve certification and professional credentials can, under certain conditions, be given additional time and support to pursue that goal through appeal. Another very important service that the TSAC appeals process offers is it provides some kind of assurance to schools and to the public that before teachers are licensed, they have fulfilled prescribed qualifications. I found no very BESE policy or state statute where an employee of LDE or a BESE member has authority to unilaterally grant certification or to waive any of the necessary qualifications outlined in state statute as being required for teacher or administrative certification. Although BESE does have the authority to waive the requirements to serve as state superintendent, as it did for Superintendent White, who is not qualified for that position, I've not found in either policy or statute where a superintendent appointed by BESE through waiver can also be awarded certifications for which he lacks qualifications. However, Superintendent White was awarded an EDL-3 certification by a former employee of LDOE, who, according to emails obtained through public records requests, did know that Superintendent White did not have the requisite years of classroom teaching experience. Although an appeal to TSAC was suggested, no such appeal was filed. That certification was also signed off on by former BESE Chairman James Garvey, who presumably was not aware of any deception. I believe it's BESE's responsibility to correct this situation, wherein Superintendent White was awarded an EDL-3 certification for which he lacks the necessary qualifications, and for BESE to honor their own policy to ensure capable, qualified education personnel. If that policy offers Superintendent White the opportunity to appeal through TSAC for some kind of waiver, maybe BESE would consider requiring him to do that. I bring this to you today because Superintendent White has not responded to requests for clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? The motion was to receive. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Your next item is on page 11, item 4.1, consideration of a records review regarding the issuance of a Louisiana out-of-state teaching certificate appropriate to the credentials of Mr. John Clavin Carver III. The department recommendation is to grant, deny, or defer.
Can I get a motion to either grant, deny, or defer?
Motion to grant.
Motion by Ms. O'Shea, second by Mr. Rock. Mr. John Carter is here. Would you like to make any comments for the board?
First off, I would like to say thank you for letting me be here. Thank you for allowing this process to go on. If you can hear me, I want to say thank you for letting me be here, and thank you for letting this process take place.
Anything from the board? Dr. Jones.
I'd just like to ask a couple of questions. I'm always concerned about certain offenses and restoring people to the classroom with those. And I note that you're drug-related offenses. And I have a concern that this was multiple things on yours. You were actually, I think, 3 different times arrested for these drug-involved things.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And one of those was within 1,000 feet of a school, if I remember right.
Yes, sir. That was in college.
I'm sorry?
Yes, sir. That was in college.
Okay. And I noticed that a couple of these were plea bargained down from distribution with intent, or possession with intent to distribute, down to simple possession. But I guess what concerns me, why didn't you state that on your application form that you had been? Because I noticed here that you said, have you ever been convicted of anything? And said no.
From right here, stated right here, I did check that
I'm looking at page 19. And on page 19, there's a check mark over there that says where you entered no.
That's why, because the question was, have I been convicted of a felony? And I was not convicted of a felony.
You were not?
No, sir.
Well, according to the information in there, you were convicted of a third-degree felony. You pled guilty to a third-degree felony. I'm looking at page 40.
His felony conviction was deferred adjudication in Texas, and so when he answered no, he was under the impression that the deferred adjudication, like a first offender pardon in Louisiana, allows him to say no, but our policy still, that is still a conviction.
Okay, so that's the reason that you didn't check that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I am really concerned that within, I think this started in 2010, 9, somewhere along in there,
Yes, sir.
and it was in 2011.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, okay. Well, I guess I've asked the question. I guess.
Dr. Bofi, Chair recognizes.
I'd like for the staff to talk us through, I see an option to grant with conditions. What kind of conditions are possible here?
I'm sorry, I can't hear this.
So I said that there was somewhere in the packet it identified an option to grant with conditions. So possible actions.
Those would be any conditions that you set forth, whether it were monitoring, whether it were a timeline, whatever the board would choose to do.
Okay. Or grant, but then with the condition of if there's any, like at this point, there's the issue of, and I'm really talking to my board members more than anybody else, but so at this point, if we grant, then you have someone who's certified, and unless there's some kind of major events, then it doesn't become an issue, it doesn't come back before the board. I wonder if we shouldn't consider granting with some kind of condition. I hear Dr. Jones talking about concerns of a timeline, like how recent some of these things are. So granting with some kind of condition in terms of a timeline where his certification could be reconsidered without something major, but instead any kind of, maybe not any kind of minor issue, but some kind of minor issue. And this is just thinking aloud. I, would like to talk through it.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Dr. Jones.
These always trouble me because we've had 4 or 5 of these, and the folks have apparently turned their life around. I feel sure you have, but I also always worry about the safety of those kids involved. Something that continues to puzzle me: how did the school system employ this gentleman without this issue being cleared before? Well, I have a letter, or there was a letter in the packet that said that he'd been employed since August of this year. Am I mistaken? Right, but how do you employ someone and put him to work prior to?
He's certified in Texas.
I'm certified in Texas, and I have not been in trouble since
Right, but
2011.
when they run a background check here and it comes back with a felony conviction, how do they do that? That's the thing that keeps concerning me, is that in all these instances that come before us, in most cases, a person's already been employed prior to getting this cleared up. Okay, I'm not going to belabor the point. I think I've raised the issue that I continue to raise every month on these, and it's no offense against you, sir. I feel sure that you have corrected your earlier mistakes. So.
Well, at this point, I'm going to recuse myself from voting on this because John Carter was a student at Grambling State University, and he also was in my class, and he was on the football team. Now, outside of these drug mishaps, I know him to be an outstanding citizen. I think he's a valuable asset for students. If he's changed his ways, which he indicated based on the documentation that I've read, based on the people that have come before us and that we have granted the right to be teachers in the state of Louisiana. I know him personally, so I won't be voting on it, but I do want to say that outside of just these, and I kind of know his family circumstances, some of the things that led him to make bad decisions. And we're hoping that if he's allowed to be certified in Louisiana, that he'll continue on the path that he's been on for the last 3 to 5 years, or whatever time period that it indicated in the record, that he hadn't had any mishaps. Do we have any more discussion by board members? We have some comment cards at this point. Let's see, can we read? Patricia Smith.
Yes.
Representative, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Good morning to all of you.
Okay.
I want to first of all clarify, I don't know this gentleman at all.
Okay.
Don't know his family, don't know anything about him, but I'm speaking on the issue that he is dealing with right now. The issue boils down to what are really felony convictions. And unfortunately, so many states are really looking at changing their issues of felony convictions as far as drugs are concerned. We know that drugs is a disease, not necessarily something that is just out there where people are not able to get treatment or what have you. Louisiana is also looking at how do you reclassify some of these issues of drug convictions. So what he got charged with, I don't know, in Texas may not even at this point in time, based on our new laws, be a felony offense in Louisiana. And we need to look at that, even though it still comes up as a felony because it's from Texas. But I think that if this young man has done what I just heard the chairman say he's done in changing his life around, it really, for me, we need more young men in our system. And unfortunately, we have issues with a lot of young men who are dealing with drugs. So when he's done, if he's turned his life around, he has his credentials, I would hope that you would give serious consideration to allowing him to get a certification. That's it.
Any comments? Are we ready for the motion? Well, the motion on the floor was to grant. Do we have any objections?
I'd like to make a comment before we do. I don't have an objection. I do want to say that I have ultimate confidence in your judgment, Lori, and I also have high respect for Representative Patricia Smith's comments. So, you know, I have no objection. I'm concerned with the concepts in general, and it's always painful to try to deal with that with a person sitting in front of you that is affected by it. But, you know, at some point, we absolutely have to resolve these type of things. Okay, thank you.
I want to make sure the record is indicated that I recuse myself from voting. If we don't, do we have any objections? If there's no objections, the motion passed. What's the next item?
That concludes your agenda.
So before we leave, I wanted to make note that the Teacher of the Year for 2018, Ms. Kimberly Eckert, has joined our committee. If you have any comments, we're glad to have you. You're looking like a student on there. We're just so happy to have you.
Perpetual student.
We all are, but thank you for coming to add a lot to the board, and thank the audience for coming. Y'all have a say.
Our next committee meeting will begin in 10 minutes.